What do you do when you're the only human in a galaxy that thinks your species is nothing more than primitive entertainment? Chen stood in the center of the Celestial Academy's main arena, her fingers gripping the edges of her scarf as laughter echoed off the crystalline walls. And she wondered if coming here had been the biggest mistake of her life. The Academy floated in the Nexus sector, a neutral zone where the galaxy's elite sent their children to learn diplomacy, combat, and the ancient arts of energy manipulation. And Kira was the first human ever accepted. Though from the jeering crowd of alien students surrounding her, acceptance was a generous term. The human thinks she can channel essence, laughed Vex, a Cronin warrior whose scales shimmered like oil slicks, his voice booming across the training grounds. Humans don't even have essence pathways. This is going to be hilarious. Kira's jaw tightened as more laughter rippled through the crowd. She'd heard it all before, during her 3 months here, the whispers in hallways. The not-so-subtle comments about how Earth was still struggling with basic space travel while the rest of the galaxy had mastered dimensional folding. The assumptions that she was only admitted as some kind of diversity experiment. What they didn't know, what nobody here knew, was why she'd really been accepted. Her hand moved to the crimson scarf wrapped around her neck and shoulder, a gift from her grandmother before she passed, before she'd told Kira the truth about their family. Instructor Lyris, Vex continued, addressing the elegant Sylvani woman overseeing the training session. Surely you're not going to waste our time watching a human attempt the essence trial? Instructor Lyris stood perfectly still, her luminescent lavender skin glowing softly in the Academy's artificial sunlight, her platinum hair cascading down her back like liquid starlight, and those distinctly pointed ears that marked her species, twitching slightly in what Kira had learned to recognize as curiosity. Unlike the other students, Lyris had never dismissed Kira, but she'd never gone easy on her either. Cadet Chen has as much right to attempt the trial as any of you, Lyris said, her voice carrying an authority that silenced some of the laughter. Unless you're afraid she might succeed where you failed, Vex? That drew some ooze from the crowd, and Vex's scales flushed darker with anger. He'd failed the essence trial twice already, unable to manifest his internal energy into a physical form, which was the basic requirement for advancing to second-year classes. Fine, Vex growled. Let's all watch the human embarrass herself. Kira took a deep breath, her heart hammering against her ribs. The essence trial was simple in concept, impossible in execution. Students had to reach deep into themselves, find the energy that connected all living things to the universe, and manifest it externally. Most species had natural pathways for this, channels that had evolved over millions of years. Humans, as far as galactic science knew, didn't have these pathways. That's what made her grandmother's final words so important. Kira, she'd whispered from her hospital bed, her aged hands gripping Kira's with surprising strength. Our family isn't entirely human. Your great-great-grandmother fell in love with someone from beyond the stars, someone who left her with a gift that's been sleeping in our bloodline. I never awakened mine, but you have the fire in you. When the time comes, remember the dragon. At the time, Kira thought it was delirium, the pain medication talking. But then the Academy's invitation had arrived 3 days after the funeral. An impossible message on technology that didn't exist on Earth, offering her a place among the stars. Now, standing in this arena with hundreds of alien students watching her with expressions ranging from amusement to outright contempt, she understood. This was the moment her grandmother had spoken about. You may begin, Cadet Chen, Instructor Lyris said, and Kira noticed something in the instructor's violet eyes, a flicker of recognition that made her pulse quicken. Kira closed her eyes, blocking out the laughter and whispers. She reached inward, the way the Academy's meditation classes had taught her, searching for that spark of essence that supposedly existed in all sentient beings. For weeks, she'd felt nothing, just the beating of her own heart and the sound of her breath. But today, maybe because of the pressure, maybe because of the anger simmering in her chest, she felt something else, heat. It started in her chest, a warmth that spread through her veins like liquid sunlight, and suddenly she could feel it, a network of pathways she'd never known existed, illuminating inside her like circuitry coming to life. The warmth concentrated on her left shoulder, beneath the scarf, where her grandmother's gift rested. The dragon tattoo had appeared on Kira's 16th birthday, materializing on her skin overnight in intricate black and red ink. a serpentine eastern dragon that coiled from her shoulder blade across her collarbone. Her grandmother had smiled when she'd seen it, tears in her eyes, and said only, "It's awoken." Kira's eyes snapped open as the heat became intense, almost burning, and she heard gasps from the crowd. "Is her scarf glowing?" someone whispered. The crimson fabric was indeed glowing, red light seeping through the weave, pulsing in rhythm with Kira's heartbeat. With steady hands, though her fingers trembled slightly, Kira unwound the scarf, letting it fall away from her shoulder. The training arena went absolutely silent. The dragon tat blazed with crimson and gold light, the ink no longer static, but moving, flowing across her skin like it was alive. The dragon's eyes, positioned on her collarbone, opened, glowing molten gold, and Kira felt a presence in her mind, ancient and vast and protective. "Hello, little one," a voice rumbled in her thoughts, feminine and powerful. "Finally, you call upon me. What are you?" Kira thought back, trying not to panic as the dragon's form began to rise from her skin, pulling free from her body in streamers of red and gold energy. "I am Kata, the last of the star dragons, and I am your birthright," the voice answered. "Your ancestor saved my dying essence centuries ago, bonding me to her bloodline. I have waited through generations for one strong enough to manifest me. You, Kira Chen, are that one." The energy coalesced above Kira, forming a dragon the size of a horse, its body composed entirely of glowing red and gold essence. Translucent and magnificent and utterly impossible. The crowd had gone from laughing to dead silent, many students backing away, their eyes wide. Kira looked up at the dragon at Kata hovering above her, and felt a connection snap into place, a bond that felt older than stars. "Is that?" Instructor Lyris had stepped forward, her usual composure cracked by genuine shock. "A star dragon? That's impossible. They've been extinct for 10,000 years. Not extinct." Kaida's voice resonated outward now, audible to everyone, a sound like wind chimes and thunder. "Preserved, protected, waiting." Vex had fallen on his rear, his earlier bravado completely evaporated. "The human is a dragon bearer," he breathed. The legends were real. Kira felt Kaida's amusement ripple through their connection. "Shall we show them what a human can do, little one?" Before Kira could respond, Instructor Lyris raised her hand. "Cadet Chen, can you maintain the manifestation while performing a combat sequence?" It was a challenge, Kira realized, but not a hostile one. Lyris wanted to see what she could do, and from the intense focus in the instructor's violet eyes, this was personal somehow. I can try," Kira said, her voice steadier than she felt. "Remember," Kata whispered in her mind, "you don't command me. We move together. We are one." Kira nodded and fell into the first stance of the combat forms she'd been practicing for months. As she moved, Kata moved with her, the dragon's energy flowing around her like a partner in a dance. When Kira punched, Kata's claws swiped. When Kira spun, Kata coiled and struck. The synchronization was perfect, instinctive, and absolutely breathtaking. By the time Kira finished the sequence, breathing hard but exhilarated, the entire arena had erupted in whispers. Instructor Lyris was smiling, actually smiling, and there was moisture in her eyes. 63 years, Lyris said softly. Approaching Kira, "I've been teaching at this academy for 63 years, and I never thought I'd see a star dragon again." She reached out, and Kata lowered her massive head, allowing Lyris to touch her glowing form. "My grandmother was saved by a dragon bearer during the Sylvani civil wars. The dragon's essence shielded our entire village from bombardment. I owe my existence to one of your kind." "Then you understand what this means," Kata said gently. "The old bonds can be reformed. The alliance of stars and dragons can rise again." Kira felt overwhelmed, her legs suddenly weak, and the dragon's form wavered. Instantly, Lyris was there, catching her arm, steadying her. "Easy, Cadet Chen. First manifestation is always draining. You need to release the form before you exhaust yourself." "How?" Kira gasped, feeling the energy draining from her like water through a sieve. "The same way you called her," Lyris said, "with intention. Thank her, release her, know that she's always there." Kira closed her eyes, reaching through the bond. "Thank you, Kata. Rest now." "Well done, little one." Kata's voice was warm, proud. "I'll be here when you need me." The dragon dissolved back into streams of light, flowing back into the tattoo on Kira's shoulder, and the glow faded until it was just ink again. Just a beautiful piece of art that no one would look at twice. Except everyone would look at her twice now. Everything had changed. Kira's legs gave out, and Lyris caught her fully, supporting her weight. Get the medical team, the instructor called out. Essence exhaustion, non-critical, as Kira was helped toward the medical building. She caught sight of Vex's expression, no longer mocking, but awed and maybe a little terrified. Good, she'd earned that respect. The next few hours were a blur of medical scans, astonished doctors, and eventually, blissful sleep in the Academy's medical wing. When Kira woke, the light had shifted to the artificial evening glow that the station cycled through, and someone was sitting beside her bed. Instructor Lyris looked up from the datapad. She'd been reading, and Kira was struck by how different she looked outside the formal training environment. More relaxed, younger. Somehow, though Kira knew Silvani aged slower than humans. How are you feeling? Lyris asked. Like I ran a marathon and then got hit by a truck, Kira admitted, her voice hoarse. But also, incredible? Is that weird? Lyris laughed, the sound like music. Not at all. First manifestation is always intense. You did remarkably well, especially for someone who didn't know they carried a star dragon until today. I had an idea, Kira said, struggling to sit up. Lyris immediately helped her, adjusting the bed's position with practiced ease. My grandmother told me stories, but I don't know what I thought. It all seemed impossible. The galaxy is built on impossibilities, Lyris said softly. My people believe that the universe has a sense of humor, putting the most extraordinary things in the most unexpected places. She paused, and Kira noticed she was nervous, her elegant fingers fidgeting with the datapad. I need to tell you something, Cadet Chen. Something I should have disclosed when you first arrived. Kira, she interrupted. Outside of class, I mean. You can call me Kira. Lyris smiled, and it transformed her face, making her look almost mischievous. Kira, and you can call me Elise when we're alone. What I need to tell you is that I knew about you, about what you carried. The Academy didn't accept you as an experiment. I specifically recruited you. Kira's eyes widened. You knew? How? Because 3 months before we sent you the invitation, a signal was detected from Earth, a very specific energy signature that only registers when a star dragon begins to awaken, Elise explained. There are certain groups in the galaxy who still watch for these signals, who still hope that the dragon bearers might return. I'm part of one such group. When we detected the signature, I volunteered to bring you here, to train you. Why? Kira asked. Why does it matter so much? Ellis's expression became serious, almost sad. Because the galaxy is heading toward war, Kira, the Cronan Empire, and the Silvani Federation have been in a cold war for decades, and it's getting hotter. The neutral zones are collapsing, and there are other threats emerging from the dark sectors, things that haven't been seen since the last dragon bearers walked among the stars. We need protectors again. We need the bonds that once kept the peace. The weight of those words settled over Kira like a physical thing. You're saying you need me to fight in a war? I'm saying we need symbols of hope, Elise corrected gently. The star dragons were never just weapons. They were proof that different species could bond, could trust each other with their very essence. A human bearing a star dragon? That's a message that transcends politics. It says that even the youngest species in the galaxy has ancient power, that anyone can rise to greatness. Kira processed this, her mind racing. And if I say no? If I just want to go home? Then you go home, Elise said simply. I won't lie to you or manipulate you, Kira. You have a choice. You always have a choice. But I hope you'll stay. Let me train you properly. Let me show you what you can become. There was something in Ellis's voice, an earnestness that went beyond duty or politics. And when Kira met her eyes, she saw vulnerability there, hope mixed with fear. You really believe in this, Kira said softly. In me? I believe that the universe doesn't make mistakes, Elise said. And I believe that you're here for a reason. But more than that, she hesitated, then seemed to make a decision. More than that, in the past 3 months of watching you train, watching you endure mockery and isolation without giving up, watching you push yourself harder than students with twice your natural advantages, I've come to admire you, Kira Chen, not just as a dragon bearer, but as a person. Kira's breath caught. There was something electric in the air between them, something that had been building since that moment in the arena when Elise had caught her, when their eyes had met. I thought instructors weren't supposed to play favorites, Kira managed, trying to lighten the moment even as her heart raced. I'm not playing favorites, Eli said, a smile tugging at her lips. I'm simply acknowledging that you're extraordinary. There's a difference. Before Kira could respond, an alarm blared through the medical wing, red lights flashing. Eli's was on her feet instantly, her datapad showing emergency alerts. What's happening? Kira asked, throwing off her blanket, despite the weakness still in her limbs. Attack on the station, Eli said grimly. Unidentified ships just dropped out of hyperspace. The Academy's going into lockdown. She turned to Kira. You need to stay here. You're not recovered enough to if there's an attack. You need every defender you have, Kira interrupted. And you just said I'm a symbol. Let me be one. Eli's looked torn, conflict clear on her face. But then another explosion rocked the station, close enough that the lights flickered. Can you manifest Kata again so soon? I don't know, Kira admitted. But I can try. Eli's made a decision. Come on, but you stay with me, understood? No heroics. They ran through the corridors, Eli's moving with fluid grace, while Kira pushed through her exhaustion on sheer adrenaline. The Academy was chaos, students being evacuated, defense systems activating, instructors coordinating responses. When they reached the main observation deck, Kira saw the attacking ships through the massive viewport, sleek black vessels that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Those are Void Reapers, Eli's breathed. I was afraid of this. Afraid of what? They're cultists, worshippers of the dark between stars. They believe the old powers, like the star dragons, are abominations that prevent the universe from returning to the void. Eli's pulled up tactical displays. They've been quiet for years, but if they detected Kaida's manifestation, they're here for me, Kira realized, ice flooding her veins. They're here to kill me before I can fully bond with Kaida. Ellis's hand found Kira's, gripping tight. I won't let that happen. The station shuddered under weapon impacts, shields flaring visible purple across the viewport. Kira reached inward, searching for Kaida, and found the dragon's presence immediately, coiled and ready. They come for us, Kaida rumbled. They fear what we represent, the light that pushes back the void. Will you fight, little one? Kira looked at Eli's, at the determination in her violet eyes, then at the students being evacuated behind them, including Vex, who was helping younger cadets move quickly. These people, alien as they were, had become her world. This place was more home than Earth had ever been. I'll fight, Kira said aloud. But I can't do it alone. Eli smiled fiercely. You won't have to. She raised her voice, addressing the instructors coordinating defense. I'm taking Dragon Bearer Chen to the forward defense point. We're going to show these Void Reapers what happens when they threaten this academy. Lyris, that's suicide, another instructor protested. The forward point is already breached, exactly, Eli said. Which is why they won't expect a counterattack from there. She looked at Kira. Are you ready? Kira pulled the scarf from her neck, letting it fall, and immediately felt the tattoo warm against her skin. Kaida, I need you. The dragon burst forth in an explosion of crimson and gold light, larger than before, more solid, and Kira felt the bond snap into place with shocking intensity. This time, she didn't just feel connected to Kaida, she felt complete. For the bearer, Kaida roared. For the academy, Eli's added, her own essence manifesting as lavender light around her hands, taking the form of elegant blades. For the future, Kira finished, and they charged. What followed was a blur of combat that Kira would never fully remember in clear detail. Void Reaper soldiers had breached the station's outer ring, tall figures in armor that seemed to eat light, wielding weapons that crackled with dark energy. Kaida tore through them like they were paper, claws of pure essence, rending armor and shields. Eli's fought beside them, her movements a deadly dance, her essence blades cutting through enemies with precision and grace. And Kira, connected to Kaida, felt the dragon's power flowing through her, enhancing her speed, her strength, her awareness. She and Eli's moved in perfect synchronization, covering each other's backs, their fighting styles complementing, despite never having trained together. It was beautiful and terrible and exhilarating. There are too many, Eli's gasped during a brief lull, both of them breathing hard behind a barricade. They're just going to keep coming until they overwhelm us. Kira felt Kaida's presence in her mind, felt the dragon's ancient knowledge surfacing. There's another way, she said. Kata says the star dragons could share their essence with others, temporarily bond with multiple people at once to create a unified defense. But I'd have to, she hesitated, understanding the risk. I'd have to open myself completely, channel Kata's power through me to everyone in the academy who's willing to fight. That could kill you, Eli said flatly. The energy drain would be massive, but it would save everyone else, Kira countered. Isn't that what the dragon bearers were for? Protection? Eli's grabbed Kira's shoulders, turning her so they were face to face, close enough that Kira could see the flecks of silver in her violet eyes. Don't you dare sacrifice yourself when I've only just found you, Eli said, her voice fierce and broken. There has to be another way, not one that saves everyone, Kira said softly. Then, because the world was ending around them and she might not get another chance, she added, I only just found you too. That's why this matters. I want there to be a future where we get to see what this is between us. But that only happens if everyone survives today. Ellis's eyes shimmered with tears. You stubborn, brave, impossible human. Then she kissed Kira, quick and desperate and sweet, and pulled back. If you're going to do this, you're not doing it alone. I'll anchor you. Channel my own essence to stabilize yours. We'll share the burden. Eli's together, Eli said firmly. That's what you taught me today, humans and Sylvani. Mortals and dragons, all of us together. So we do this together, or not at all. Kira felt something break open in her chest, warmth flooding through the bond with Kata and beyond, connecting to Eli's. Together, she agreed. They stepped out from behind the barricade, standing in the center of the breached corridor as Void Reapers advanced from both sides. Kira reached deep into the bond with Kata, deeper than she'd gone before, until she couldn't tell where she ended and the dragon began. Eli's pressed close behind her, hands on Kira's shoulders, her own essence flowing into Kira's channels, stabilizing and amplifying. Kata, Kira called. Show them why the void should fear the light, the dragon roared. A sound that echoed not just in the physical world, but across every essence, frequency. And then Kata's form exploded outward, essence streaming through the station's corridors, seeking everyone who fought to defend the academy. Kira felt each connection snap into place. Vex, who'd been leading students to safety, suddenly found his failed essence pathways filled with dragon fire. The other instructors discovered their abilities amplified tenfold. Even the students too young to fight felt courage flood through them, pushing back fear. The dragon's power flowed through Kira like a river through a channel, and it was agony and ecstasy all at once, more energy than her human body was meant to hold. She would have shattered if not for Eli's steady behind her, pouring her own essence into Kira to reinforce her, to keep her anchored to herself. I've got you, Eli's whispered. I've got you. United by dragon essence, the Academy's defenders fought back with devastating effect. Void Reapers fell as students and instructors fought with coordinated precision, their individual essences enhanced and connected through Kata's power. But Kira could feel herself burning up, the energy consuming her from within, and she knew she couldn't maintain this much longer. Just a little more, she gasped. Just until their ships are retreating. Someone shouted over the comm system. The Void Reapers are falling back. Kira held the connection for another heartbeat, making sure the enemy was truly fleeing, then released it all at once. The dragon essence snapped back to her like a rubber band, and she collapsed. Eli's caught her, lowering them both to the floor, cradling Kira against her chest. You did it, Eli's breathed. They're gone. You saved everyone. Kira tried to respond, but the words wouldn't come. She could feel Kata in her mind, exhausted but proud, retreating back into the tattoo to rest. The last thing she saw before darkness took her was Ellis's face, tear-streaked and beautiful, and the way the light caught in her platinum hair. Stay with me, Eli's pleaded, and Kira wanted to promise she would, but the void took her. She woke 3 days later to find Eli's asleep in the chair beside her bed, still wearing her battle-damaged uniform, clearly having refused to leave. When Kira's fingers twitched, reaching for her, Eli's jerked awake, and the relief on her face was everything. You're awake, Eli's gasped, moving to the bed and taking Kira's hand. The doctors said you would be, but I was so worried I told you we'd do it together, Kira said, her voice raspy but strong. I wasn't going to leave you with all the paperwork. Eli's laughed, the sound broken with tears and relief, and kissed Kira's knuckles. The Academy's council wants to meet with you when you've recovered. They're calling you a hero. They want to offer you a full scholarship, an instructor position when you graduate, and, well, they want to reform the Dragon Bearer program. Train others who might carry dormant bonds. That sounds like a lot, Kira admitted. What do you think I should do? I think you should do whatever makes you happy, Eli said softly. You've earned that right. But if you're asking what I hope you'll do, I hope you'll stay. Not for the academy, not for the galaxy's politics, but because, she hesitated, vulnerable in a way Kira had never seen her. Because I would very much like to see where this goes between us, if you're interested in exploring that. Kira smiled, squeezing Ellis's hand. I'm very interested. Though people might talk the human student and the Sylvani instructor, let them talk, Eli said, smiling back. After you bonded an entire academy to fight off a Void Reaper assault, I think you've earned the right to date whoever you want. From within Kira's being, she felt Kaida's amused presence stir. I approve of this one, little one. She has the heart of a dragon. Kira laughed, the sound free and joyful. Kato approves, in case you were wondering. High praise from a star dragon, Eli said. Then, more seriously, thank you, Kira, for trusting me, for fighting with me, for staying. Thank you for seeing me, Kira replied. Not the human, not the dragon bearer, just me. I'll always see you, Eli's promised, and when she kissed Kira this time, it was slow and sweet and full of hope. 3 months ago, Kira had been an outsider, mocked and dismissed, carrying a secret she didn't fully understand. Now she was a dragon bearer, a defender of the academy, and maybe, just maybe, someone who'd found where she belonged not despite being human, but because of everything that made her who she was. The galaxy was still heading toward uncertainty. The Void Reapers would likely return, and there were countless challenges ahead. But Kira had Kaida's ancient strength, Ellis's unwavering support, and her own stubborn human determination. They'd laughed at the human girl once. They'd never make that mistake again. And somewhere on her shoulder, the dragon tattoo glowed softly, a reminder that the most powerful bonds are the ones forged in fire, protected by love, and strong enough to light up even the darkest void.